Good morning from my world, my dears. It's Wednesday, the 12th of March. It's not even 9 a.m. And it's a gloomy, rainy day in Germany. I'm sitting in my office and I just had the urge to come on here and record a podcast for you because I haven't been doing that in a while, mainly because I've had a sick kid or two sick kids home with me most of the time. And for these podcasts, I just need peace and quiet to hear, my own thoughts. So today's the first day. Both of my kids are out of the house. And I have a couple of hours, 4 hours or so, before I'm going to pick up my smallest kid from kindergarten. So without further ado, let's dive in. I have a couple of subjects I want to cover. I've been getting messages, are you okay? Your stories are so distraught or angry, and I kind of want to address that. But it's not just going to be a ragey podcast where I, rant about what's wrong in the world. We're going to cover a whole lot today, and let's dive straight in. Okay, first of all, I want to talk about winter husbands. Thank you so much for your feedback on the post and all the love you gave me. It's always good, when you do that. Not just because it makes me happy, but it shows me that I'm on the right path, and I'm kind of headed in the right direction here. And I know a lot of you have been waiting for us going back to creatures in coding, and it's taken me a while. I don't know why. I think it was mainly because I fell in love with the Fangs on Ice boys, and I still love them. But the books in Fangs on Ice are shorter and they are a bit more manageable. I mean, with Bunny, we're getting closer to the word count of creatures in coding. Sorry for the blip. That was my Discord. Hi Ella Larson. That was Ella. She just sent me a message. So we're getting closer to the word count, and I've been, I wouldn't say I've been dreading going back to creatures in coding. I wasn't feeling it. And now I'm in a place where I really want to wrap up the series. We only have 2 more books in creatures in coding. And I am now ready to wrap up the series. I've been working on Lewis and Noah's story. I've been trying. I think that was also a thing where I struggled to fit it into the series. Like, I'd announced the book over a year ago, and I've been working on it for over 2 years. Back when I made up Lewis, like a couple of weeks later, I started writing the book. And I just announced it as book 4 in the series, but I had no connection to Betaworth, the software agency where Lo and Kat and Maddie work. And I found that now, and I know how it ties into it, and all the plot fell into place. I have a couple of scenes to add. My alpha reader is just going through the manuscript, and I realized that I missed a month. So when I made the list with alpha and beta reads, I put the book down for alpha reading in March and beta reading in April. And then it's going to get edited in May. But I kind of, in my mind, I skipped April. And I was like, oh my God, I only have like 2 weeks to get the book ready for edits, and I'm never going to do it. And then you go into this executive dysfunction where you're like paralyzed and you can't really do anything. And then I looked at my list, and it's hanging right in front of me. I don't know why I didn't realize. I was like, oh my God, there's another month I have, to fix what needs fixed and to go through self-edits. And there are 2 weeks of school holidays for my kids in that month. So I'm not going to get a whole lot done in April. But that doesn't mean April doesn't exist, right? So yeah, I'm really, really excited to wrap up Noah and Lewis' story. I hope you're going to love them. I'm just head over heels in love with them, of course. I mean, they're my brain babes. And this also leads me to, like, I have a list of things I want to talk about, and I might just go through them, however they make sense to me, and not necessarily in the order I wrote them. I'm just going to tick them off, sorry. So yeah, this brings me to my publishing schedule. Since I am now back in Creatures and Coding and back at Lone Fox Distillery, and it's been my escape in February because it was a tough month. My kids were sick, I was sick, Beak released, I was kind of trying to wrap up things and I couldn't because executive dysfunction. And a whole lot of shit went down, and then the state of the world on top of it. We had our election in Germany, and it all took so much of my headspace that I felt like I barely got anything done. And I finished Bunny for edits, so it's with my editor now. So yeah, it was a really, really weird and busy month, and then on top of it you only have 28 days and it feels like you blink and February is over. So yeah, I've decided, TLDR, I've decided to wrap up Creatures and Coding now. Before, as in, I will write the 5th book. I'm gonna give you the details in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna wrap up the 5th book in the series, and then subsequently the series in itself. We're gonna have another omnibus done by Helena. I'm really excited for that. But there's also gonna be a little bit of a surprise. I'm hoping I get that finished for December. For Christmas, I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but I've been asked to kind of do like a Christmas novella where we meet all the couples in Creatures and Coding again, kind of like a little closure in a couple of years after the end of book 5. I'm gonna try and see if I accidentally spill the beans on the title, because I already know the title. You might already know the title. I don't know if I shared that before. It's Hazel and Sadiq's story. So we're gonna have another Lion Man. Really excited for that. And the book is, I have my list open. I'm just gonna click over. It's almost 70. Like, I have a really, really intricate list. Okay, it's like, no, it's gonna be a little longer. So it's almost 73% written. And now comes the difficult part of wrapping the book up and of weaving the plot pieces I have together. But that it's the difficult thing for me. The most difficult thing about writing a book is finishing it. I think that's probably true for a lot of people. But I'm also always super duper excited for it, because that's when it all comes together and you have these breakthroughs, and it just makes me happy to wrap up my books. So book 5 is gonna come this year. I'm fairly sure it's gonna come right after my summer break, which ends mid-September. So I'm not gonna release it like 2 weeks later, but maybe like a month later. So mid-October is where I'm kind of aiming, or what I'm aiming for. Okay, so after that, I'm gonna wrap up. So I have a writing schedule, and after that, I'm gonna wrap up Fangs on Ice. There are 3 more books after Bunny. I'm gonna edit and then release Hunk Sandwich as a paperback, an ebook, and everything, so everyone can read it on Amazon, which then leads me to another topic. This is going to be a bit of a longer podcast because I have a lot to cover. Which also brings me to another subject. So afterwards, I'm gonna go into Fangs on Ice. I'm gonna wrap that up. In between, I'm gonna finish Brownie Spice. So there's gonna be like a duology, and I don't know if there are gonna be any more books in that series. That depends on where I'm gonna go after what I'm about to tell you. So after Brownie Spice, I'm diving straight into the rest of the Puck Boys. So Ed's story and Pen's story, I'm really excited for both. I've been hyper-focusing on Pen a bit because I love him. He's amazing and he's so naughty, and you're gonna love him, I think. Hope. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap these series up. The remaining 2 books. So the first of the Puck Boys comes on 8th November. I might pull that forward 2 days or so it releases during the week and not on the weekend. I don't like weekend releases because that's when I have my family time. But it's going to be amazing. And then we're going to have the remaining 2 books in the Puck Boys. It's like trilogy. Coming very soon afterwards. So I'm hoping February and like April or so. So you won't have to wait super long for those. We're gonna do book. You decided that, and I'm super happy you did. It was like 100% yes. We're gonna have book 5 in Creatures and Coding as a summer serial. So you're actually gonna, just remember that you're actually gonna be able to read that in August and September, and then the book releases in October, and that's also when the book bundles are gonna come out. I won't be able to do that over my summer break. I don't want to do that over my summer break, so it's gonna happen afterwards. Okay, that's that. I have another little question I'm gonna put up a new poll as well, but I want to mention it now. It's not going to be long. That's why I always say, and then it ends up being long. But I was going to do apologies, I need to take a sip of my coffee. My voice is still a bit fucked. So I was going to do a Scales and Steam collection with 2 more stories. But I've been running into a problem. I just don't feel one of the stories. My brain isn't cooperating. I love them. There's a Minotaur and a barista, and they're so cute. But I haven't been able to write their story or finish their story. I'm like halfway through, and my brain's just like, nope, that's not gonna happen now. I don't know if it's ever gonna happen, or I can't say. So I've just been shelving it for the time being until I know what to do about them. I might just drop, that as like a whip snippet drawer fiction thing. Maybe I'll end up feeling the story again and I'll be able to finish it. But that leaves me in a bit of a dilemma, because I have Would You Be Mine was gonna be in that collection. So now I have like 2 or 3 options. One option is to give Would You Be Mine its own cover and just release that book. I mean, you've read it, so it doesn't really matter, I think. But I would try, to do like a little book bundle as a bit of an addition, maybe. The other option would be to just put scales, like purple scales and Coffee Tales and Would You Be Mine into a collection. So it's like 2 books with like a hand-lettered cover, like the other omnibuses. And the third is to do neither and just leave it as a Patreon exclusive, which is my least favorite option, I think. I'm sorely tempted to just give it its own cover because I would love to see Beryl and Kjartan together in M's style. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm also gonna put up a poll about it because I can't really decide. Okay, we've covered the question. I'm halfway through. That's amazing, and it's only 16 minutes. Yeah, you've already heard me write, or you read me. You've read it already. Oh goodness. That I have been working on I promise it's going to be the last iteration of the covers. I've been super not happy about, how bad they printed and how, like, the art is beautiful, of course, and it prints beautifully, but I wasn't at all happy with how totally not legible the titles were, to a point where I couldn't really advertise the paperbacks, which reflects in my sales, etc. And I needed to do this for myself. And I am so sorry that I have all these different options now and all the different covers, and I know I don't like that. They're all the same size though, which is maybe a little consolation. I thoroughly apologize for it. I've been trying to work with graphic designers, 4 or 5 people by now, and I never had any luck. I even have like a graphic designer here who I haven't heard from, and who just, who sent me like a little update, but it was like a first sketch after weeks, and I've given up. I'm just gonna do it myself, which is one of the downsides about. Okay, I'm sorry for having this in 2 parts. My phone just stopped recording and I have no idea why. That is so weird. Anyway, I'll see if I can stitch it together. Yeah. So, when you're traditionally publishing, they have this whole team and they have the people, whose just only job is to cover your books. And you don't have that when you're self-publishing. So a lot of us opt for either cover designers or we do it ourselves. And I'm just resorting to doing it myself unless I can pay someone to do it for me. So I have a bit of an option there for the future, and I'm gonna do that for the Pook Boys, but for Creatures in Coding, I just did it myself. I said I was gonna switch them out over the year, but I'm impatient as fuck. I just did it yesterday. I need to update Zero Fox and Tiger by the Tail. with the new covers. I wasn't able to do that because I I made changes to the pricing, and I took out the option to order the books in bookshops, because I get like $1 for my books when you order them through bookshops, which is a crime. And it brings me to the next topic. So yeah, the books now have new covers. I apologize again. It wasn't my intention when I started this. It was also never, I mean, it was the luckiest fucking thing that ever happened to me, was that my old designer who I used to work with, like artist, ghosted me for Zero Fox Given, and I then started working with Burning Starred. Was one of the best things that ever happened to me, and I'm so grateful. Don't ever get me wrong. Like, I'm still, like, every day I'm like, I can't believe this. Luckiest fucking thing in the world. Yeah, that's a story I'm gonna have to tell eventually, because it was so wild. And I might even show you what I got back days after my release day as a quote unquote cover for Zero Fox Given, and then, show you or remind you again, what it looks like, but remind you again what M did with the exact same briefing. It still blows my mind. And they drew that in 4 days. I'm still not over it. I will never be over it. They're just amazing. And again, I was gonna say I thank God every day, but I'm not religious, so I don't thank God. I just thank the universe that we cross paths and that they are working with me. Yeah. So yeah, new lettering on the covers is going live as we speak, and yeah, sorry. Yeah, this is going to be the last time it's legible now. I love it, and I can't wait to show you the next things we're cooking up. Really excited for that. Okay, this brings me, speaking about the ripoff that is having your books ordered through bookshops. It's not just Amazon though. It's Ingram Spark. It's Draft2 Digital. I don't think they do paperbacks, but Ingram Spark and the other platform that I forgot. It's all a ripoff, basically. So yeah, if you're following me on Instagram, you might have seen me rant about the Amazon boycott. I wholeheartedly support shopping small. I just want to say that. I wholeheartedly support leeching Jeff Bezos dry. I 100% support boycotting Amazon AWS, the web services, which is where Amazon makes a lot of its money. It's basically a cloud service that you can use to host your websites on and your shops or whatever. And when I told my husband, who's a solutions architect, about the boycott, he was like, but surely not KDP, right? They should be boycotting AWS. And then he informed me, I don't know, it doesn't matter to you. It doesn't really matter in the whole, in the grand scheme of things. But I just want to say that we use Hetzner, which is a German cloud computing service. They run our servers. It's like basically around the corner from where we live are their server farms. And they're all like unbelievably cheap compared to AWS and Azure, which is I think Microsoft service if I remember correctly. And but you need to know what you're doing to use it. So AWS is super easy, of course, super convenient. Hetzner is for pros. And fortunately, my husband is a pro, so he can do it. And he also doesn't use AWS for his work. It's all on Hetzner, Hetzner Cloud. Just, we're doing our thing to boycott Bezos. And I understand the need and the wish, especially, looking at the US from the outside, from across the pond. I understand the need and the wish to want to do something, you feel so helpless when you're in such a situation and you want to do anything. But in this case, and it's not even, I was just talking to Ella Larson about it. It's not even, me. I'm not too worried about me, even though it hurt, that people just started boycotting this when I just, I just, been brave enough to make the decision to finally pay myself. I haven't seen a single cent for all the work I've been putting into my books in the last 2.5 years. Not a cent I have been paid. My books have not contributed to our family. They've only paid the bills of the company. And at first, not even that. So we poured in our own money into the books to make that a reality and to build up this business, because it's my job. It's not, and I said that on Instagram. I said that it's not my hobby. There are writers or authors who treat writing as their hobby, and it fucking shows. It shows in the posts that tell you that you should be grateful if your book is in a library. You might not get paid, but libraries are so important. And I don't know about you, but our bank doesn't accept the importance of libraries, which I love my local library. All my books are in my local library. I donate to my local library, also monetary donations. Every time I'm there, I'm just popping, 10 or 20 or however much money I have on hand into the collection tin, because I find it so freaking important that we have this wonderful option. And I love the library. As a kid, I wanted to move into the library because I loved it so much. But I don't get paid for the page reads in the library. And I can't pay my bills with people borrowing my books in the library. So that is not what I push, and exposure and recognition does not pay our bills. And this is gonna affect all the small authors like Lee Bardugo and Sarah J. Maas and however they're all called. They won't really give a fuck if you boycott KU, because most of their books aren't in KU, right? But Rhea from Germany, or your favorite author from the US or wherever, small author, a person of color, LGBTQ plus, from another marginalized community, they'll be the one affected. And it just makes me so mad, that I then learned that some random white dude started this boycott, and he leached off the movement. He collected 300k on, I think on 28th February was when the first like Amazon blackout was, or Bezos blackout, for future projects, whatever they might be, when that money should have gone to marginalized people affected by this whole shit show that's happening. That is so fucking wild. I don't know what to say about it other than it's just, please don't. Please just don't do it. Yeah, and I'm okay. I'm okay. And I'm not mad because I might be losing out on money. I'm mad for all my colleagues, who make a fucking pittance from their books and who've been struggling and who've been thinking, is it even worth it that I keep going? Should I just get a fucking job, that I don't want to work when all I want to do is write? A lot of them are neurodivergent, or they're trans, or they've grown up poor, they've been, I don't know, they've been through a lot of shit, and they finally found it, and they make pennies, and they're the ones who will be affected. And Bezos is not gonna care, that we small authors who are locked into the KU exclusivity clause, because it only applies to us, right? When Rebecca Yarros put her books into KU, do you think they were taken off Barnes & Noble? Or Apple Books? Or Google Books? No, they weren't. They were still available everywhere as ebooks, right? Because paperbacks, fine. But as ebooks, of course. I mean, she makes a shit ton of money. And she was gonna make Amazon a shit ton of money. That's why they put her in KU. And that's why they make an exception for her. They weren't taken off the platforms. If we, small authors, small fish, in the big pond, put our books into Apple Books, we can lose our accounts. We can lose all our money. It's not fair. And still, we stay in KU because for years we've been told that KU is the place to be. KU makes up like 70 or sometimes more % of my income. And I know it's the same for a lot of big authors, bigger names, in my niche. And we've been told, I don't buy books. I only borrow them. I only read in KU, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. It's fine. We've been there. And I've been saying that in private DMs this week, that my husband and I, we were in a place in our lives where we shared one KU membership between the two of us so we could both keep reading. And he still almost exclusively reads through KU because he binges one of these like 1,000k page plus books every 2 to 3 days. We couldn't afford that. In all honesty, we couldn't afford his reading habits if it weren't for KU. And I love KU. And I know that there are some of my readers who can't afford to buy my books. And I've been absolutely mindful of that. And who also can't afford to subscribe to my Patreon, which is absolutely fine. I understand, I've been there. And I still remember how that feels. Even though a lot of people don't seem to remember, I do remember how it feels to be strapped for cash and to to depend on KU for books. And this is also why I'm gonna stay. Because I know that there are people who can't afford to buy my books and who are waiting for them. And I've been seeing that with Purple Scales. I had that only for sale up until, I think, February 25th or so is when I put it in KU. And I've been seeing so many page reads and I'm losing out on money. I'm going to be honest, I'm losing out on money on that book because I get more from sales. But to me, that's worth it. It's probably only going to stay in KU for this one term, which is 90 days. And I've checked off the option to relist it in KU or re-enroll it already. So it's March 17th. But sorry, I'm just gonna have to close my door because I heard my husband come upstairs and it's just distracting me. Sorry. So yeah. And I'm losing money, and that is okay because I know that there are so many people who have been excited for the book and who now have the opportunity to read it, and that is worth it for me. And I can afford that. I'm in a spot where I can afford that, where I can afford to do that now. And then I do it. And this boycott, and this is just going to be the last thing I say about it, this boycott completely ignores realities of people who are not living in the US. And I said that to a European friend of mine. All I hear is us, like US. And I understand that. The US world is very US centered because it's such a large and diverse country. It's very centered around itself. Which is something that doesn't really happen in Europe, for example, because it's so small. And you're always in touch with the other countries around you, and the cultures vary, and you meet so many people from so many different countries. Something you don't really have in the US. I mean, you also have this like melting pot, or bits of it. And I'm not gonna go into the whole ICE discussion here. But yeah, it completely ignores lived realities of people, especially in the global south, but also in the global north. Like it completely ignores, say, my friend who lives in Norway. Shipping is fucking expensive. I can't even properly ship anything for a decent price from Germany to Norway. And that is not super far away. Yeah. And, talking down on people because they can't afford to boycott Amazon, especially when it comes to books, is just classism and racism and in parts also ableism. I heard that the other day where a woman who was blind and she couldn't access most small websites because they weren't accessible to her. Amazon is. So will you blame her for using the website she can use? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I'm sorry. It's gonna get really long. I have three more points on my on my list. So I want to touch on YouTube because I've been asking about, would you like to see a YouTube channel from me? But this is derailment. I've realized that. I don't have the mental energy, capacity, or anything, the set or any mental space to do that. at least not now. I would love to start a YouTube, but it would just distract me from what I really want to do, which is write more books. So I might make the occasional video, especially for you here in the den. But I'm not gonna start a YouTube channel. I'm sorry. And I've been wanting to do that for 10 years or so. And I thought, okay, now they're pushing small accounts. It's time, to finally do it. But I don't want to do it. What I want to do is write my silly little books. They're not silly. I love them. And I want to connect with you, which brings me to the future of the den. So even before I learned about the Amazon boycott and all that it entailed, I was saying to my husband that I was going to focus a whole lot more on the den in the future. And I'm going to be, you know me, I'm transparent. I love being transparent with you. And you know that I also, of course because it's a subscription, it's a membership, I can offer that. And we're at a point where my Patreon earnings pay for around a book cover, which alleviates a lot of pressure, because that is like an additional expense I would have to pay from my KDP earnings, but now I can pay it from my Patreon earnings. And it's just been absolutely amazing. And my goal is, which is where the transparency comes in, my goal is to have enough income from Patreon. Also, thank you. Sorry. No, enough income from Patreon so I can pay myself. The threshold in Germany is 538 euros, which is a so-called mini job. You don't have to pay taxes on it. You don't have to get your own health insurance. So I'm now, which is my day job, it just turned back into a mini job because I've been focusing so much of my time I've been spending that on the books and everything. So I now don't have my own health insurance anymore. I'm insured through my husband, which is fine. But I kind of want to be back in a place where where I have my own health insurance again. And where I have an income for the hours upon hours of time and energy I pour into this business. So my next goal is to get enough through Patreon so I can pay myself. So it's going to be tied to my Patreon income. So you're going to see, if you follow me on Instagram, you're going to see a whole lot more of plugs for the den to convert more people. Which also sounds like, when you describe, your marketing strategy, it sounds so sleazy, and I don't mean it like that. It's just, in the wake of this boycott and with how unstable it feels to rely on Amazon, I need to diversify my income. Sorry, I need another sip. And I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop talking in a minute or 10 because my voice is giving out. And it's been almost an hour. Crap. But I just love talking to you, and I just love explaining these things and giving you insight. So it's been with how unstable and how uncertain everything feels, I've been adamant to build up more income streams, and the den is one of my most favorite parts of my business, and I am going to focus a whole lot more on it. And I'd be super grateful. I'm gonna do a post where you can just go crazy in the comments. And I'd love for you to do that, please. Because this is a bit like, in German we say im Trüben fischen. So you have like a murky pond and you're trying to fish in it, but you can't see if there are any fish in it. So you're just trying something and hoping it works. And sometimes Patreon feels a lot like that for me. So whenever you engage with the post and you comment on it, or you send me a DM, or you get in touch on Discord, it's actually super helpful for me, to have some kind of feedback. I think they're my most favorite things are the comments I get from you on my posts, because I'm like, oh, okay, cool, that's what they want from me. And that is, in turn helps me to provide more content that you enjoy. So it's like a win-win situation. And I'd love it if you took the time to just give me some feedback. What do you want to see? What do you want to read in the future? What's working for you? What isn't? I'm gonna be honest with you. I will have to take a teeny tiny bit of a spending break in April. So I've just dropped a chunk of money lovingly on more art. But I'm gonna have to take a tiny bit of a spending break in April. Like, there's only gonna be the covers that I'm gonna pay for. But we're gonna be back with art in May or June. I'm terribly sorry for this. But I've just been, again, transparency. I've just been spending most of the money that comes into my business without keeping anything for myself, and I am at a point where I start, not yet, but I know it's gonna come soon, where I start resenting this. And I don't want to get to that point, to be honest. And I know it says a lot about my money mindset and my take on this, that I feel bad, for wanting to be paid for my work. And it says a lot about writing and being an author in general. But I think I'm at a point where I need to be paid, or I won't have the same energy to put into the books anymore, and ultimately the business would suffer. So, and I'm sure all of you are gonna be like, yeah, yes, you should be paying yourself. But I haven't. I funneled everything back into the business, which has been fine and amazing. And I've been so lucky to work with all these amazing people, and I don't plan on stopping that. But I just need to build up a bit of a cash stock so I can, safely pay myself for my work without struggling and kind of panicking when I have a month where it's not that great, So yeah, the idea is to tie that to Patreon. We're gonna have to add a bit from the KDP income for now, because we're still, my Patreon earnings are still under that threshold for, sorry, my voice it's giving out now. We're under the threshold for the mini job, and I need to earn like at least 100 euros more so I can, safely be employed by our company, and it doesn't just look like a ruse, because German bureaucracy is crazy. So this is gonna happen. I really want to start paying myself. I want to have my first paycheck on my birthday. So that is 28th June. That's kind of when I want to start paying myself. So I'm just gonna have to keep still for a bit. It's not gonna say that I'm gonna stop doing anything. I'm still gonna edit books. I'm still gonna commission covers, but there's not gonna be a whole lot of art reveals. I'm a bit bummed because an artist I've been waiting for over a year, they just opened their commission queue again, and I was so sad because I was like, oh, I'm gonna jump in, woo, cool. And then I was like, oh, you said you weren't gonna commission more art, so you could pay yourself a bit. And we're talking like 650 euros after tax, okay? It's not a massive income. It's huge. I think like making a tenner a month would be huge for me. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money. But it's a start. It's a start, and it's just a bit of a like it's a maybe a bit of a Pavlovian Jesus. Pavlovian. My mouth can't do this. I won't cut that out. Jesus Christ. I don't know. Yeah, my brain can't wrap around that word right now. It's like positive reinforcement. Let's use that for me, so I can keep up this level of engagement in the books and this level of dedication to the whole business. Oh, I'm rambling now. One last thing, and then I'm gonna stop and make myself some chamomile tea. One last thing, and I'm gonna go back to Noah and Lewis because I need to get some more words in for the day. The book bundles for Beak, they're gonna go out super duper soon. Sorry for the delay. I was finally able to order everything, and I'm still waiting for the chibi stickers. They're not going to be stickers. I don't know why I said stickers. They're not going to be stickers, but the chibis of Max and Arne, and as soon as I have them, it's going to take like 10 more days for the items to arrive. So please bear with me. I'll keep you updated. I'm so sorry for the delay. I'm going to try and be, faster in the future. So sorry, but it's coming your way, and then it's not gonna be super long until we get Bunny. So excited for that, I'm gonna order the proof copy very soon. As soon as I have the cover, I'm gonna order the proof copy, which should be, in the first week of April, and then it takes 2 weeks, and then I can order the swag and everything. So I'm on time, and I already have an art piece lined up for that book bundle. I'm really excited about that. It's not really new to me artist, but an artist I haven't been working with in a while. I'm really excited to get back to working with them, and I'm gonna tell you when that's happening. Yeah, and then we're gonna have Winter Husbands in Your Hands, and then book 5. And then The Boys. I'm hoping to release one more. So after Bunny and Hunk, I'm probably gonna release one more. Fangs on Ice. I'm really excited for that. So, okay, I'm gonna wrap this up now. Thank you so much for listening. Sorry for the rambles. Not sorry for the rambles. It's not called the Rare Rambles without a reason. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. I will talk to you in the comments. Leave me your comments. I always love it when you do. And the questions and polls, they're gonna come in the next couple of days. I just don't want to spam you all the time because we're still in the last couple of chapters of Hunk Sandwich. We're gonna finish that on, I think, the 23rd, I think, is when the last chapter is out. Okay, I want to thank you so much. Also, thank you to everyone who upgraded their membership. Thank you for everyone who picked up an annual membership. That is now an option. I'm not gonna tell you it's just like a fake shortage. It's not gonna go anywhere. Thank you so much. It helps me so freaking much to have these chunks of money coming in. And I will talk to you soon. I'm going to try and do a new podcast every month because I just love them. And there's always so much to talk about. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Enjoy today's Hunk chapter. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.